Welcome back to another album ranking, guys. Today we're going to be ranking some old school death metal albums. And I changed up the tiers a bit. Instead of doing letters, I'll do words now. Because I think it's kind of unclear on what the letters mean. Because before, S tier meant really, really good. A tier meant great. B tier meant good. C tier meant mid or just okay. And D tier meant bad. And if I did add an F tier, it would mean terrible. But I feel like people debate on what the letters, like how good they are or what they actually mean. So instead I'll just use words because I feel like that's much easier of a message to share. And a lot of other YouTubers use words instead of letters anyway. So that's what we're going to stick with from now on. And let's get started. We're going to start off with Scream Bloody Gore from Death. I put this album in good tier. I pretty much like almost every song. And of course it's one of the biggest death metal albums that came out first. One of the very first ones. And it's very good. Very fast. Very thrashy. But definitely still a death metal album. Very brutal. I really like Infernal Death. Zombie Ritual. Sacrificial's good. Definitely kind of a funny song there. Mutilation's catchy. Regurgitated Guts is alright. Evil Dead I like. And the title track's pretty good. So yeah, pretty much every song here is good. And I will admit, it does sound a bit repetitive. But it's still a very solid album. And I would not really complain about it too much. So yeah. Scream Bloody Gore. Great album for sure. Next we got Tomb of the Mutilated from Cannibal Corpse. And this is probably the only album you can consider on here. I mean, this is probably the only album on here that can be considered brutal death metal. I try to avoid including those albums. Because first of all, I don't really like brutal death metal that much. I'm not the biggest fan of like the really, really extreme types of metal. Like deathcore, grindcore, gore grind, brutal death metal, slam, etc. So yeah, I didn't really listen to that many brutal death metal albums. This is the only one I listened to. A lot of people would consider brutal death metal and old school death metal separate. So yeah, but I did include this one because it's such a popular and iconic album. So yeah, I don't really like it that much because like I said, I don't really like brutal death metal that much. Mainly because it just sounds like brutal just for the sake of being brutal, without that many memorable riffs or melodies. And the vocals are just way too guttural. It's just like, how much does it take this seriously? I mean, there are a few good riffs on the album. Like Hammer Smashed Face has some good riffs. And a couple of the other songs have a few good riffs. But most of it I don't really like that much. It's just too extreme to where it doesn't even really sound like any metal that I would like at all, really. So yeah, like I said, not the biggest fan of the really extreme stuff. Like brutal death metal, gore grind, grindcore, slam, etc. So yeah, I'm naturally not going to like this album that much. Next I got Altars of Madness from Morbid Angel. I put this album in great tier. Easily one of the best death metal albums ever made. The vocals are very good, very intimidating but not annoying sounding. The drumming's awesome, the riffs are awesome, and every song is a banger. Like, this is easily one of the best death metal albums ever made. And it's one of the most accessible too, because that's also a good thing. A lot of good songs, great production for this type of music. A lot of these don't have very good production, but this does though. So yeah, Altars of Madness is easily one of the best albums of this genre. And yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't already. Definitely one of the first old school death metal albums you should listen to. Next we got Slowly We Rot from Obituary. I probably was in bad tier. The production's horrible, the riffs are horrible, the vocals are really horrible. The vocals are the worst thing on this album. They basically sound like worse Muscle Man from Regular Show. And yeah, I don't really like Slowly We Rot that much. It's like one of the worst things I've probably ever heard. And I just can't stand it. And like I said, those vocals are just, oh god. At least a lot of these albums are pretty short though. So I don't have to spend that much time listening to an album that I just can't stand. But yeah, there's no songs in here that I liked. And yeah, the whole thing is just a mess. So yeah. Next we got Bolt Thrower with Realms of Chaos. And yeah, I don't like this album that much either. There's also no songs here I liked. Every song sounds the same. and a lot of it just sounds really fast and noisy without that many memorable riffs. Well, I guess there's a few good riffs, but it doesn't exactly save the album. And I also heard Bolt Thrower are kind of like a death grind band. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, that might also be another reason why I don't like it, because I don't really like anything with grind in the name. So yeah, Bolt Thrower I'm not the biggest fan of. Not the biggest fan of Realm of Chaos. Very influential, but just really not for me. Next we got Deicide's self-titled album. I put this in mid-tier. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty mid. There are a lot of good riffs. The drumming's pretty alright too. The vocals I'm not the biggest fan of though. The vocals are not terrible, but they're not that good either. And yeah, probably this in mid-tier. There's not really that many songs that I like that much. But like I said, the riffs are good, drumming's alright. And a lot of the songs do sound the same, so that's another reason why I don't like it. So yeah, it's okay-ish, but it's really not for me. Yeah, the problem with a lot of these albums is that a lot of the songs sound the exact same, which I don't understand why they can't at least add some variety. I mean, some of them change sound a bit, but most of these don't change sound at all. They just sound like the same every song. So it does get kind of old listening to the same thing without any change throughout the whole thing. But like I said, at least they're short, so at least I won't have to listen to the same sound for like an hour, only for like 35 to 40 minutes, really. So yeah. Next, we got Seven Churches by Possessed, and I'd probably put this in great tier. I like every song, and that's because this is most likely the first death metal album. It's debated, but I'd say it counts as the first. There's a lot of great riffs on here, and it's the perfect mix between thrash and death. And yeah, it is easily one of the most evil sounding things that came out in 1985. And yeah, great start to the genre. And the drumming's good. The vocals are very tolerable for death metal. The vocals are a lot better than most death metal vocals. And I also forgot to mention this earlier, but I also like Chuck Schuldner's death metal vocals too. These three albums have the best vocals in all of death metal for sure. Well, that and Season of the Dead as well, because the vocals aren't like super guttural or super Cookie Monster sounding. If they sound like proper death metal vocals instead of just like Cookie Monsterness or Muscle Manness or just like burping, then it easily makes the album a lot better for me. So yeah, Seven Churches, great album for sure. Next we got Left Hand Path from Entombed, and I don't like this album either. The vocals are garbage. Every song sounds the same. It's like copy and paste what I said about these two and put it here. Every song is repetitive, and yeah, it's just not memorable at all. It's just trying to be brutal without having any memorable melodies or riffs or good production or anything. It's just the same thing throughout. There's nothing good. Next, we got Focus from Cynic. This album's easily going to go into great tier. I really like Cynic. I like this album and Traced in Air. But this is probably the only death metal album they made. And this is easily one of the best things on here. It actually does change sound a lot, unlike a lot of these albums. There's a lot of soft sections and a lot of jazzy parts. But of course, there's a lot of heavy death metal sections too. There's even some clean vocals on a few tracks. So yeah, and it's very technical, very progressive. Really do like this album. Really do. I wish more death metal sounded like this. A lot of it does, but a lot of it also does not either. So yeah, definitely a very good mix between prog metal, death metal, and some jazz fusion as well. Cynic did a great job here, and everything I don't like about death metal is thankfully not on this. So yeah, it's going to go into great tier. Next we got Consuming Impulse from Pestilence, and this album's going to go into D tier. It's the same problem here. Every song sounds the same, the production's bad, the vocals are bad, and the riffs are okay, but they don't save the album. The drumming's okay, but it doesn't save the album. And yeah, just another generic osdm album where it's just nothing's good. So yeah, another album I just can't stand. Next we got Choir of Horrors from Messiah. I put this in mid tier. I will admit I would have put this in bad tier, but thankfully there are a couple of acoustic parts that I really like. So yeah, all the acoustic sections in this album actually kind of save it. I mean, it's not great or anything. It's still pretty mid. But the acoustic parts actually go pretty hard. And there are a few good riffs on it. And the vocals are not terrible. So yeah, it does still sound like a generic death metal album, where it doesn't really offer much, but at least the acoustic parts and some of the riffs kind of save it. So yeah, I don't think it's all that bad, but it's still not really for me. Next, we got Season of the Dead from Necrophagia. It was in good tier. It's not super great, but I still really like it. And thankfully, the vocals here are one of the easiest to listen to in death metal. The vocals here barely even sound like death metal vocals. And yeah, I like every song. Forbidden Pleasure has a nice acoustic intro in it. And Insane for Blood's good. Mental Decay is really underrated. And Beyond and Back I like. Abomination. Every song is good. And this is easily the most underrated album on this list. Not a lot of people talk about Necrophagia that much. And I feel like when they do, it's mostly because of historical reasons, because they did it so early. Because they even released their album before Scream Bloody Gore. So really the only band doing death metal before Necrophagia was Possessed. Well, when it comes to studio albums at least, not counting demos or EPs or live performances or any of that stuff. When it only comes to studio albums, Possessed were really the only death metal band before Necrophagia. So yeah, very underrated album. Definitely needs a lot more credit. And yeah, very great. And it does change sound quite a bit too, which is also good. Like there's some soft parts. It does have a lot of horror themed stuff, which is also pretty cool too. So yeah, definitely a very underrated old school death metal album. And it's for sure one of the better albums of the genre. And one of the less shitty sounding. Well, that's my ranking. I didn't expect to put this many albums into bad tier. But that's mainly because a lot of these albums have like no variety. And they just sound like crappy, low budget things that you put together in like a week. And it doesn't change sound at all. And they have terrible vocals. So yeah, a lot of the albums down here are like the same. Like this, it's like the same problems. Sounds the same. Not many memorable riffs, but maybe a few, but not that many. Bad production. Rushed, you know. So yeah, I'm definitely not the biggest fan of a lot of these albums. But there are some albums that are also very good, with a lot of great riffs and drumming and variety and vocals that you can actually tolerate. So yeah, I do think death metal is still a pretty cool genre, but I'm not in love with it. There's definitely several great albums. There's also a ton of albums I don't care for at all, especially on the really, really extreme side, like brutal death metal, slam, gore grind. You're probably not going to see me do a ranking on those genres anytime soon. This is probably the heaviest type of music that I'm going to make videos about and listen to frequently. Anything that's heavier than like old school slash classic death metal, it's probably not going to happen. That's what I'm going to say. It's probably not going to happen. This is probably the heaviest type of music you'll see me talk about in a long time. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next ranking.